but I'm happy to present that for Poquoson, this is very positive data. You'll notice they color code it. Green is good, yellow is about average, and red not so good. And if you look in the region, we don't rank so well. A lot of work to do regionally. But if you'll drill down to Poquoson specifically, you'll notice that all of our data is in the green. We're all positive numbers and moving up. The arrows indicate in the right direction, and the color also indicates green. Again, when you study this data, you'll look at what it actually means. It's an average of 10 years worth of data, so there's a lot of information in there, and they're going to populate it every year and then go around and let schools know what the data suggests. This particular part, the student learning rate, which we just pulled out as a snapshot, focuses on instruction and academic performance. There's a lot of data that's put together in this to make these assertions. We won't get into the weeds on that, but it is worth a conversation, I believe. The next part of the data is ours specifically. What ours, of course, because we're talking about 400 kids out of thousands of kids, we make up a smaller portion of this data overall. But if you drill down to just our data alone, you'll see that all of our schools perform well. Now, the data is only through grade 8. They haven't populated high school data in this formula. I don't know if that's coming, but the data only includes kindergarten through grade 8. And you'll notice that on this next slide that they publish through a site called School Digger the actual lineup of schools throughout all 132 school divisions in the state. And if you'll notice, according to this data, Poquoson ranks number 2 in the state at 99.9%. So if you're using just this data alone, which was pulled from School Digger to analyze this, and this is the site that the folks we met with in the military suggested that most of their families look at first when they're determining where to live. A family who moves here who's at Langley or Fort Eustis can choose a lot, logically 8 different school divisions to land. And we hope they consider us. And this data helps, I think, market Poquoson because it's very impressive. This is another snapshot of that, and you'll notice that Poquoson's scores, our neighbor York did very well in this as well. But it's good to be on the top side of that. Again, just another slide to show where we rank on the great schools ranking as well. So great work, Poquoson families, our staff. We're proud of this data, and again, this is just a snapshot. I wanted to introduce it to you. Study it, look over it. I'm still reading through. I've circled a lot of questions in the data myself to find out what this means and that means. But it's very positive for us. We're green in every category, which is exciting news to share. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tillett. Next, we have Dr. Ratliff, who is going to do double duty tonight and give us both an instruction update and an operations update.
Good evening, Madam Chair Hazel, Mr. Tillett, and school board members. As Ms. Hazel said, tonight I will be going through the instructional and the operations side of what we have going on right now. We're going to begin with the instructional side. To build on what we've spoken with you about over the last few months regarding the strategic plan, at the point we are now is we're developing a monitoring document so we can actually measure how we're doing and what we're doing. The monitoring document that's being developed currently will be similar to what we have done in the past. The first information, obviously, that's going to go there will be your baseline data. So we know we have a good starting point of where we're going to measure each of the indicators that are within the plan. The next thing that has to be done, now that we have shared this with all of our building level staff, we've kind of done the background work, is now it's more the feet on the ground with working with the VTSS team in implementing certain parts of that. So essentially, we are looking at the implementation coming forward and the baseline data that we have. Reading and mathematics staffing, we were fortunate this year to pull in a few instructional coaches. We have at the elementary school, well, I'm sorry, not at the elementary school, all around, we have 2 different mathematics coaches. One of the coaches, who's a part-time individual, works more of in a tutoring capacity, while the other individual works in a full-time capacity, and she works a little bit more with curriculum development, more along the teacher end. So we're really, between the 2 people, hitting both ends, working with the students with a focus there and a focus on the teachers. We do have 4 total reading specialists in the school, one new to Poquoson Elementary School. Both of those are at the elementary and the primary level, really where the developmental reading is taking place, and we're really trying to make sure that the kids are caught up before they start getting older into the courses. But again, 4 staff members between the 2, and that's with the addition of 1 coming on at the elementary school. And looking at curricularly, some of the things that we have planned and we've been working on, and is some of the hard work that our curriculum individuals will do. We've started using the year with the pacing guides that the teachers have in place and looking at a year at a glance. A lot of them have already developed curriculum guides and pacing guides. What we don't find in all cases is uniformity across a division. So if you are a parent looking at a pacing guide, a curriculum map, whatever word that you use for it, you look at one school, you want to see the continuity between that school and the next school. So you're looking at apples to apples and not apples to oranges. After these are developed, we will be at the point of going for administrative feedback and kind of vetting it on the model that we want to use and how we want to go through it, talking with teachers, tweaking it at that point, and then really evaluating the standards and pacing that we currently have to see if there needs to be modifications to that in where we teach, what we teach. If you have 2 different subjects and you're teaching Roman numerals in science and math, if you can align those curriculum areas to be taught around the same time, then kids are going to get a little bit more bang for their buck. Not the best example, but just to give you perspective. Phase 1, we think, will last about 4 months, and that really is the kindergarten through 2nd grade. And those pacing guides really are at the point of being complete. We had a good bit of background information with those. Next, really, the curricular work is going to begin and the deeper dive into that. Grades 3 through 5, the pacing guides are still currently being built. The second phase, we think, will take roughly around 9 months, and the time frames I'm giving you are estimates. It could take longer, it could take less, exactly depending upon what you're up against. Again, the K2 curriculum, we will get that published, and then the 3-5 curriculum work will begin. So you can see it's kind of rolling as you're going down in the development of this, and then we're going to start building on the 6 through 8 pacing guides. And then finally is really the bigger picture part of this that will be within the next couple of years, but the reality is when you're dealing with curriculum, it really is a living type of a thing, and there are always changes that are going to come about. So you can look at that, but then you may have to go back and make changes to either to what you're doing that may not work or better ways to find things that work. So in that last phase, publishing the grades 3 through 5 curriculum, building the grades 6 through 8 curriculum, and then the 9 through 12 pacing guides built with the curriculum to follow. Grades 9 through 12 are a little bit more challenging just because of how the teachers or the classes are laid out as opposed to the elementary school. So, professional development. Things that we have going on right now, there's actually a lot of good things. CERN, and if you're familiar with that, it's an excellent organization through William and Mary. This is School University Research Network, and I guess we've been a part of CERN for longer than I've been around. But really, everything that you get out of CERN is data-based, evidence-based methods, and really a really good organization where you really, there's a lot of good colleagues around that go to the same thing. But we've sent teachers to go to literacy workshops, math days, special education teachers have been working through there. Typically, all of our administrators go to a CERN conference over the summer, which they haven't had the last couple of years. Hopefully that will be back soon. And then looking forward to the professional development. Ms. Purdy's already began planning for the February 8th Professional Development Day, and it will somewhat model what we did at the beginning of the year with Spark. However, it's only going to be half of a day with professional development. Teachers will choose 3 sessions. The last part of the day, teachers will have building level collaborative planning time. So we're really trying to get the best of both worlds there. And given the time of the year, it's a time where teachers really do need to have the opportunity to talk and debrief and plan and make sure everyone's on the same page. But again, Ms. Purdy's she did an excellent job at the beginning of the year planning that professional development day, and she's well into getting this one going as well. And that's all I have on the instructional side. Do you have any questions for that?
I've got 2 questions. On
Yes.
the reading specialist, is there a particular reading program that they're following, or are they just kind of supplementing the regular classroom
So
teachers curriculum?
I honestly can't tell you which reading program they are following. Yes, I know that they do, but I'll have to go back and look, and I can get that back to you. But it's pretty unique in what they do and how they do it. And it's a matter of, they spend a lot of time in working with the students in the classroom, but then at the same time, they also have the ability to work with the teachers and on the professional development side, since you do have that specialized person. But, one of the beauties of the model that we have here is they're able to pull kids out individually, and go through that. But the actual reading program that they use, I don't know. We can find that out, and I can get back with you.
And then on the curriculum writing, is there any compensation involved with that for teachers?
There is.
Cool, awesome.
There is.
Thank you.
I had a question on the pacing guides. How much of that is really dictated by SOLs, like the benchmarks? They're getting tested every 9 weeks. Fractions are in the first 9 weeks. You're probably going to teach fractions. How much is prescribed out at the state level?
Well, I think you really have to kind of work your way backwards. The state doesn't really prescribe to us, this is the order and this is the amount of time. That's fully within the realm of what we do, what our teachers do, what they determine, and they decide. So the state gives us obviously the goals that we need to meet at the end with those standards. So if you kind of work backwards from the end and know where you need to get, it kind of gets you to the beginning. I don't know that you can, for example, if you look at the growth assessments that are happening right now, I don't know that you could really even successfully plan your curriculum about what's going to happen on those growth assessments. I think what you have to do is your curriculum has to be laid out like it naturally would be. I'm not going to do multiplication, division before I do addition and subtraction. You have to get the baseline information first, and it's going to grow throughout. So while yes, the state does dictate our standards, they don't dictate how and when we do it. So in that manner, that's the part where the pacing and the curriculum guide and really having good teachers comes in, because that is your best, that's the best way to determine, what and how much you need to teach, when it needs to be done, is those valuable teachers as they go through the year teaching.
I could just add one piece of that. We have very effective pacing right now. Having explored what we currently have over the last couple of years, where we haven't made a lot of changes, what we're trying to do is make it more systemic, because what we find is it's not consistent among grade levels and among courses what's being taught when. So we're trying to find out using data to tell us where the best performance is, and then backtrack and find out what that data tells us should be the pace. And then once we build those pacing guides, we'll use the same format, the same system, so that new teachers coming in can immediately access a very effective, well-written, consistent pacing guide and curriculum map that is already vetted with some testing data that we currently have. So it's a process that we're going through, but I don't want anybody to think that the pacing and the curriculum maps we currently have are not effective, because the results are clear. Our teachers are doing a great job. And these are, back to an earlier question, the role the teachers play. These are all built internally by our teachers. We didn't by design a canned program. They're out there and available, but we believe our experts are among us and have proven that over and over again. So we're having our teachers collaborate to build these pacing guides and curriculum maps moving forward.
Okay, moving on. Into operations now. So tonight, you're going to be voting on giving the superintendent the ability to sign a contract with Hobbs and Associates so that we can start the HVAC process at the primary school. The process that we're going through is a little bit different than what you typically may see. You typically are going to see a design bid build process. The process that we're going through is more of a design build contract. So we're contracting out with one group who is going to be with us through the entire project. The importance of going this route on this project is there are substantial lead times on industrial HVAC equipment right now, some things even a year out. So essentially, one of the things that will have to be done, that they have been looking at the primary school for a while at this point, studying it for a while. One of the immediate things that we're going to have to do once we get fully on with them and going is get the materials ordered, even before we do anything, because this is a project that will need to be done next summer. So that is the intent of what we have there. The roofs are another issue that we have both at the primary school and the elementary school. So actually, this week and last week, I have someone out doing an evaluation of the roofs. And essentially, what they do is twofold. They'll go up during the nighttime and they'll do an infrared scan of the roof. And what that does is that tells you where the moisture is, where the wet areas are staying that you can't see beneath the surface. After that, they target some of those wet areas and they'll take core samples. And when they take those core samples, they'll be able to see the amount of damage that you have underneath the surface level of the existing roof. So once that study gets done, what it will also yield is basically a plan to put a roof on. After we get that plan with this, we then will go out to bid for that. And currently what our plan is to go ahead and put the roof on the primary school. We've got capital project money from the state this year that we think will be able to cover the cost of getting the roof on. However, the couple of projects at the primary school have risen to the top of our capital plan pretty quickly as we have continued to troubleshoot several different things within the school. Air quality. I think we talked about air quality. I believe that it was last month or the month before. We had gone through and had an air quality report initially, and there were 3 rooms that showed a spore count that was higher than what you would expect. Although there are no industrial standards of saying X amount is too much, X amount is too much humidity, anything like that, what they do is they compare the spore count outside versus the spore count inside. So there's an expectation of what you're going to have in the comparison between the outside and inside. The first time we ran the report, there were 3 rooms at the primary school that had an elevated spore count. The company that we used came back with recommendations for remediation and what we needed to do to help remediate the areas that needed work. Our maintenance crew did quite a bit of work and everything they can do, and we had them out there quite a bit going through and making sure that we got everything treated that we need to. We then brought the company back in to run more air quality tests, and those tests came back within this last week. And at that point, when they came back, there was the library storage room was the only area in the school that showed an elevated spore count. So that the good thing is our efforts and what we're doing is working, and we're going to have to continue that. The bad thing is that will continue through the course of this year until the HVAC system's been replaced and until the roof's been replaced. The HVAC system's putting a lot of humidity within the school because there are problems with the return air unit, and then we've got a fairly leaky roof in the school as well. So until we can get rid of the water coming in, we're going to have to continually be on working to make sure that the school stays as it needs to be. The middle school, we began feeding from the cafeteria on October the 10th. And I'll say a big thank you to our maintenance guys as they have done a substantial amount of work to get that school ready, along with a lot of other people, but they've had to kind of jump in where there really wasn't anybody else to jump in and get the work done, and a lot of work that wasn't planned. So we've gotten that going. Everything is running well there. The gym, as of today, is about 95% cleaned out. I've got the construction clean set to come in this coming Monday. Essentially, the construction clean is all the mess that's in there. They're going to clean from top to bottom. They'll bring in the lifts and get your ceiling, and everything they can clean, they're going to clean. After we get the construction clean in, we'll go ahead and bring kids into the gym at that point. The floors won't be refinished until November 17th, 18th, around that time. And the reasoning for that is the company that we use, they're not going to have their actual cleaning crews, their floor crews back in the area until then. Probably after they get done, they'll be without the gym for 3 days, no more than 5 days. A lot of the curing when they refinish the floors depends on the humidity and the outside temperature and things to that nature, but I don't foresee it being any more than a week. So when they refinish the floor, what they do is they take the top layer off a little bit, essentially the top layer of the polyurethane that has gotten the ground in dirt through the year. They take that off, they wet mop it, and then they come back and reseal it, and it looks really nice, looks like a glass. In all of our gyms, unfortunately, we're to the point right now that we can't continue to take it down much further because we're down to the paint. So the middle school gym, we know we're going to have to do a little bit more work on this summer, just because of some of the rough use with the construction and the fact that it was already to the point that it needed to be taken down. But to get people in, get it going this year, we think this will be fine through the course of this year, but we know we're going to have to do a little bit more work on it coming this summer. Food service and transportation. Our meal counts have been down this year. They are steadily increasing. I would attribute the fact that our meal counts are down to the reason that we are charging for lunch again. The last couple of years when we have not charged for lunch, that has come from a federal waiver, or a state waiver, I'm sorry, for the federal guidelines of feeding the kids. We do not have a high enough free and reduced lunch population in order to qualify to feed all kids for free, which I think you'll see neighboring school divisions that do qualify for that waiver. The other route to getting that is through the community eligibility provision, and unfortunately, we don't qualify for that either. So I do think the counts will continue to go up as we go through the year. Just a little bit different situation than we've had over the last couple of years. Transportation's running very smooth at this point in the year. We've had little to no problems. Ridership counts they're actually doing this week. That is, and the state tells us when we're going to do those each year. After that, we'll have a very good average of who's riding the buses, how many kids are riding the buses, both in the morning and the afternoon. Right now, we're still fully staffed with drivers. It's running much smoother than we did last year. We're not having to juggle as much as we did last year. But while we are still fully staffed with drivers, we still could use some substitute drivers. We're onboarding a person right now, and that will be our only sub that we have. So we still could use some people to work as substitute drivers, but the big picture of things, we're in a lot better shape than we were last year regarding transportation. So That's all I have for you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I do. Thank you for a great report, update on both. This isn't about what you updated about, but how is the loop working out at the high school that we?
The only feedback I've gotten has been very good. My understanding is it has taken all of the traffic off of Odd Road. Now, as the kids come in that park in the side lot, they'll come through the loop, so we don't have two-way traffic going. And my understanding is that still has not created a backup onto Odd Road. So the intent being with that to reduce the congestion out there, I think we've established, and I think that we did a good job with that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ratliff. And now we'll have Ms. Woodruff with finance update, please.
Good evening, Chair Helsel and members of the school board. For the finance report this evening, I want to review the impact aid with you, since October is generally when we collect this data. As you know, impact aid is one of the federal funding sources that we did include in our budget. Impact Aid is a U.S. Department of Education program that provides financial assistance to local school divisions. We receive basic support payments for federally connected children, which are those students whose parents or legal guardians are active duty military or work on federal property. Impact Aid funding is distributed based on the percentage of a school division's federally connected population, and based on last year's survey, we had 511 federally connected students, which was about 24% of our total student population, and active duty military accounts for about 56% of the students. So we are required to compile information and report annually by January to support the funding for the following fiscal year. So in order to determine eligibility for these students enrolled in our schools, we do an annual survey, which is a form that has to be completed. We will be doing this online through the parent portal, which is how we've done it in the past year, and parents have also done other forms this year online as well. So this survey will be based on employment as of October 20th, which is Thursday, and families will receive an email, possibly a phone call, to let them know that the survey's been open, and then some reminders along the way. We would appreciate if they would do it as soon as possible, but no later than November 3rd. One thing that Impact Aid does require is we have to have a form for each student. So if you have multiple students, you will need to do it for each one. In the parent portal, it is an easy click between your students. So we feel like that should be an easy process to follow. We really appreciate everyone taking the time to complete these forms to assist in our efforts to secure this federal funding. It's a great program, and we rely on this money to help us. That concludes my report.
Do you have any public comment?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Fye?
I have one quick statement to read. Actually, you can step on up, sir. Yeah, just have to be formal about it. So the Poquoson School Board welcomes public comment during regular meetings. School board members do not respond to public comment during a meeting. All comments should address a matter related to Poquoson Public Schools. The school board will not hear public comment that involves an individual student-related matter, the disclosure of which would violate applicable confidentiality requirements. The school board expects that each speaker will be courteous, modeling for our students how one can respectfully disagree with others' views. Speakers will address their comments to the entire school board and not to one individual board member, nor the superintendent, a staff member, or the audience. Speakers are encouraged not to engage in personal attacks. Speakers will present their comments from the podium. And then there is a time limitation. It's policy 1-6.8. And the time allotted to any speaker shall be 3 minutes, except that a motion to extend the time shall be in order, and the majority vote by the school board members present shall be necessary to carry the motion. That's a lot to say, but we appreciate you being here tonight, and the floor is yours for 3 minutes.
Oh, that kind of eliminates everything I was going to say. Keith Fye, 10 Willis Court, Central Precinct, which I also represent on the City Council. Actually, I only put one thing down there, but I had two things. And one was to answer your question. I did go down and look at the traffic loop. I was there on the first day of school, and it was confusion, hectic, but it's always that way on the first day of school. So I said, I'm not going to look at that too much. I'll look at it later on. So I went back down on the 7th of October and watched how things went. And I was, I'll say I doubted at first that it was going to work, but I was really impressed. I mean, things just went so smoothly. I was in the front with the resource officer. I went around back and met the the assistant principal back there, Randall, and everything was just really running smoothly. Came around the front, the band started playing. I didn't realize I was being greeted like that. Then I found out it was homecoming, so I figured it probably wasn't necessarily for me. So I just wanted to congratulate you all and thank you all for going through with that, because my son graduated here in 1999, and I think it's been backed up since then until now. And it's a great thing that y'all did with that. Second thing was going to thank you for making use of the microphones that are closed. I can't always make the meetings, but I do listen to them either recorded or at home. So when you roll the microphone, I saw you do that earlier. It's an excellent job of being that, because sometimes you'll be sitting and listening, all of a sudden go, and then the noise will come back. So if you make sure the microphones work, I do appreciate that. So that's all I had to say. Doing a great job and appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We definitely appreciate the comments and are glad that we fixed that traffic loop. All right, so we will move on. Is there any other public comment, Ms. McKay?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to have Mr. Freeman walk us through the consent agenda, please.
For the consent agenda tonight, we have a couple items. A is approval of financial reports. B is the authorization to change appropriation to accept and expend funds in accordance with attached request. C, the approval of personnel action. D, approval of minutes for September's regular meeting, work session, and closed session. And last is the authorization for superintendent to sign a contract with Hobbs for PPS HVAC.
To make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion about it? Ms. McKay, would you please call for the vote?
Mr. Ingram?
Aye.
Dr. Goodale?
Aye.
Ms. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Everett?
Aye.
Vice Chair Freeman?
Aye.
Chair Helsel?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much. Next is other matters for consideration. The first item is consideration of the approval of the 2022 through 2023 ESSA grant application. I believe that was all in front of us this evening. Any extra commentary for that one?
No, that's
I
it.
think it was pretty standard. Okay.
I'd like to move that we approve the 22-23 ESSA grant application.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Ms. McKay, would you call for the vote, please?
Mr. Ingram?
Aye.
Dr. Goodale?
Aye.
Ms. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Everett?
Aye.
Vice Chair Freeman?
Aye.
Chair Helsel?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much. And next, we have the consideration of approval of the proclamation of Bus Safety Week. And Ms. Everett's going to read that for us, please.
Proclamation of School Bus Safety Week, October 17th through the 21st. Whereas public transportation helps hundreds of Poquoson's children arrive safely to and from each day. And whereas the average school bus transports 54 students, replacing approximately 36 family vehicles, increasing the convenience and efficiency of student transportation. And whereas school buses are designed with safety measures, including bright colors, stop sign arms, and cross-view mirrors to avoid crashes and prevent injuries. And whereas the highest standards of school bus safety are maintained through rigorous driver training and certification requirements, and whereas school bus transportation employees should be recognized for their steadfast commitment to safely transporting Poquoson students. Now, therefore be it proclaimed on the 18th day of October in this year, 2022, by the School Board of the City of Poquoson, Virginia, that October 17th through the 21st, 2022, is recognized as School Bus Safety Week in all of Poquoson City Public Schools. It'll be signed by our chairperson, Christy Helsel, and our Division Superintendent, Artie Tillett.
Perfect, thank you. Somebody like to make a motion to approve the consideration, please?
I make a motion that we approve the proclamation for Bus Safety Week as read.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? Would you call for the vote, please?
Mr. Ingram.
Aye.
Dr. Goodale.
Aye.
Ms. Martin. Aye. Ms. Everett.
Aye.
Vice Chair Freeman.
Aye.
Chair Helsel.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next is moving right along, consideration of approval of appointment of an interim deputy clerk of the board.
Yep, just, this is a formality. Our policy number 1-3.1 requires a deputy clerk. And with the retirement of Dr. Hill, we're asking the board to appoint Tara Woodruff to be our interim clerk until we're able to appoint that position, and then we'll come back to the board asking for our assistant superintendent for instruction, which is typically our deputy clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Tillett. Would someone like to make a motion?
Before you do that, can you explain, I'm new.
No, you're good.
What is a deputy clerk? And
Good
why?
question. It's simply a backup plan for when Dusty is not available. We have a board policy that requires two folks to be available to the board as a clerk so that we can have a smooth meeting. So in the event that Dusty was out for some reason, Tara would fill in. It used to be Dr. Hill, and before that it was Dr. Fox.
I just think that, Dusty does so well, we really don't need
She
anyone
does,
else.
and she's never going to miss anything, so she's going to be here every time.
She's
I don't
just the
think-
perfect.
And Tara's thankful for that, right?
Thank you for the explanation, and good question, sorry, we should have clarified. Yes, Ms. Martin,
I was just going to make the
I know
motion.
you are, thank you.
She's good, Randy.
Motion to approve Ms. Woodruff as the interim deputy clerk of the board.
Thank you.
I'll second, since I have the question.
Second was Ms. Everett, please. And any additional discussion before we vote? No. Ms. McKay, would you please call for the vote?
Mr. Ingram.
Aye.
Dr. Goodale.
Aye.
Ms. Martin.
Aye.
Ms. Everett.
Aye.
Vice Chair Freeman.
Aye.
Chair Helsel.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. The next one is the consideration of approval of appointment of superintendent contract. And I'm going to let Mr. Freeman explain something for it. Or I'll explain it. I'm sorry.
We like motion first or just explain first?
If you'll
All right,
make
so
a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the superintendent contract and waive the 30-day notice.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, just for clarification, we are definitely going to be renewing the contract for Mr. Tillett. We've all agreed as a board. Very happy to have him with us and staying, and I think he definitely came on under some hard times with COVID. The addendum or modification of adding the waiving the 30 days, that's just per your attorney.
Legal mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, we're covering ourselves for not waiting 30 days, although we really have. But that's just why we're slipping that in there. And I think I did tell everybody I have that, so we'll get that signed soon. Any other discussion?
We need a second. Do we have a second?
No, we have a second.
We had a
You
second.
missed that.
I missed it.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Thanks, you did good.
I
Great.
wasn't paying attention.
Any other discussion?
That was to waive and approve.
Waive and approve. Yep. We combined it all together. Everybody's good with that? Okay. Would you call for the vote?
Mr. Ingram.
Aye.
Dr. Goodale.
Aye.
Ms. Martin.
Aye.
Ms. Everett.
Aye.
Vice Chair Freeman.
Aye.
Chair Helsel.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, and we'll make sure, Dusty, after the meeting, that you do have the correct wording for that one, for the minutes. So the next one is the consideration of approval of authorized signature in absence of the division superintendent. So if you could explain that one for us, Mr. Tillett, that would be wonderful.
Again, another policy that requires, in the absence of the superintendent, checks and other things that need to be signed in a timely manner have to be authorized by the board to do so. So we are recommending you to authorize a deputy signer for school business.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the authorized signature in absence of the division superintendent.
Second.
Thank you both. Any discussion?
Who are you authorizing to do that?
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr.
About to ask
Ratliff,
that.
to be,
I mean, you know, I could do it.
Sorry, you might, it's in the packet, but I failed to, I should have mentioned, we are asking to authorize Dr. Ratliff to be the
I feel like I should
Authorized
call
party.
to order or something. Oh, my gosh.
sorry, but
No, it
It's
needs
okay.
to be, people need to know, though.
Correct.
I mean,
You're right.
honestly,
It was in our packet, but you're right.
yes,
Very good point.
yes. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Fine. Any other discussion? Any other questions? Okay, Ms. McKay, would you call for the vote, please?
Mr. Ingram,
Aye.
Dr. Goodale,
Aye.
Ms. Martin,
Aye.
Ms. Everett,
Aye.
Vice Chair Freeman,
Aye.
Chair Helsel.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. All right, our final one is consideration of approval of PCPS capital improvement plan for fiscal year 24 through 28. And the reading file was also enclosed for that one.
I saw that. If you're scared, I saw that one.
But I would like to entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the PCPS capital plan for fiscal year '24 to fiscal year '28.
Second.
Thank you both. Any discussion, questions, comments? Okay, Ms. McKay, would you call the vote?
Mr. Ingram,
Aye.
Dr. Goodale,
Aye.
Ms. Martin,
Aye.
Ms. Everett,
Aye.
Vice Chair Freeman,
Aye.
Chair Helsel.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next, we have communications and/or other matters by the school board and/or superintendent. I will start with you, Mr. Tillett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just first want to thank the board for the vote of confidence tonight with the extension of contract. I came here to do good work for this community, and I intend to keep that going. Was a challenging time to start a new job in a new community during global pandemic. A friend of mine said, and you're also going to renovate a middle school during all that time? You must be crazy. But it's been a pleasure and so far, and we've got a lot of work to do. So we're rolling our sleeves up and getting to it. And again, I appreciate your vote of confidence, and I thank the team that I work with every day for the opportunity to be here and work side by side some of the best professional educators I've ever known in my life. Secondly, I'd like to, I know Maddie has slipped out. I'd like to congratulate Maddie. She's an extraordinary young lady and has an incredible future ahead of her. So we want to congratulate her on being Student of the Month. And lastly, I'd like to thank all of our staff for, believe it or not, a wonderful start to this school year, but we're about to finish the first quarter here on the 4th of November in just over 2 weeks. So it's hard to believe. It has flown by, but I have watched this staff really rally over a very challenging 2 years, and now it feels like school. If you're in our buildings, a lot of learning going on at high levels, and I couldn't be more proud of the professionals who do this every day, and I just want to thank them again publicly.
Thank you, Mr. Tillett. Lexi, it's all you, babe.
All right, I'll start off with the primary school. PPS continues to work hard in all subject areas. We are learning new vocabulary from books read aloud to us, and in our math units, we're working on shapes in K in first, and are now comparing numbers in second grade. We are checking out the weather in kindergarten, learning about citizenship and community in first grade, and about maps in second grade. This month is National Bullying Awareness Month, and PPS is doing our part to say yes to kindness and no to bullying and bully-like behaviors. We hosted Omega Man for an awesome assembly last week. In the assembly, Omega Man was on spot with his message to our students, and they were so engaged. Thanks to our PPS PTO for sponsoring this assembly. This week, we are also holding Spirit Week. Yesterday, we wore hats to put a lid on bullying. Oh, sorry, I lost my place. To put a lid on bullying, and today we are socking it to bullying, as seen with our crazy socks. Tomorrow is an important day across the nation, Unity Day, and we will be wearing orange to show our unity. Thursday will be PJ Day as we dream of a bully-free school, and our togetherness will be celebrated on Friday with Bull Spirit Wear because bulls don't bully. We've had several visitors to our school this month, and we want to acknowledge the help from our volunteers doing the book fair and to those who have come in to visit their students at lunch. We have also had visitors from the SPCA and our IPOP friends as they continue their animal unit, and we have had two classes that took a virtual tour on with Farmer Brian to see the farm where they adopted cows. So cool. We look forward to planning and holding several events in the near future, including our Storybook Character Parade and our Fall into Reading Day and Baggett Books event, and our kindergarten's Thanksgiving celebration. Next week is Read Aloud to a Child Week, and we encourage families to do it at home. We have some special surprise readers coming to our students to read aloud, and we can't wait. Stay tuned for more information about these events and go to our Twitter and PTO Facebook pages for more reminders and shared pictures. Now to the elementary school. Students at PES are involved in engaging learning activities in math. Third graders have been busy learning about place value. Fourth graders have been dividing into fractions and decimals, and fifth graders have been multiplying decimals. Students in all grade levels are working on word study, which allow teachers to explore the connections between phonics, spelling, and vocabulary, which in turn helps students read and connect with the text they are reading. As you just heard from PPS, PES is also focusing on National Bullying Awareness Month. PES also had the Omega Man Assembly, which students enjoyed and loved, cheering Omega Man on as he shared strength and told the students they could also be strong and make the right decision when it comes to not bullying. PES is also taking part in the same Spirit Week activities, and the students are having so much fun dressing up to celebrate this very important month of bullying awareness, National Bullying Awareness. PES has been working with the PES PTO to get the Hands Helping volunteer group up and running again. Teachers are very appreciative and thankful to have this group of volunteers with making copies and laminating. Volunteers will also be reading with students and giving students the time for extra practice that is so important. PES is excited to share that we now have a daily morning news show. It is a live production where fifth graders lead the students in the Pledge of Allegiance, the PES Pledge with the 3 R's, a moment of silence, and the daily update of what is happening at PES. Now the middle school. We continue to make exciting progress at Poquoson Middle School. Our kitchen and lunch courtyard opened last week. Activity buses started at the beginning of the month and are now available to all students on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Club started this afternoon, and we are excited to see students engaging in all these activities. Our media center is almost fully furnished. We look forward to opening the doors soon for students to check out the books and enjoy the innovative and brand new makerspace. We kicked off our all-in character education program, and students are being awarded Golden Bull tickets for being respectful, acting responsibly, and building resilience. Poquoson Middle School will celebrate National Drug Prevention and Awareness Week, October 24th through 28th. Students will have the opportunity to participate in themed spirit days, and counselors will share healthy living and stress prevention tips and classroom lessons. Last but certainly not least, the high school. Poquoson High School has a busy but exciting month of October so far. Our homecoming events were a success. This year we brought back having the pep rally within the gym, and our students showed a lot of school spirit. The parade and football game, which we won, were all well attended, and we crowned Kai Baker as king and Kelsey Inslee as homecoming queen. The dance was packed, and the students enjoyed the DJ and dancing. All of our athletic teams have been successful this far and are starting to hold their senior recognition nights. Academically, we have given the PSATs and ASVAB exams this month. Courses are in full swing with field trips, projects, and opportunities for students to intern and learn co-op hours through our CTE courses. Our drama students have been designing sets for their one-act play, and our band students continue to impress with their field shows. PHS will also be holding Spirit Week this month to bring awareness to bullying and promote kindness. Seniors will also have events coming up that will be discussed at a meeting this Thursday during school. As always, please check out the latest edition of the Island Times for all things occurring at PHS. Thank you.
Thank you, Lexi. Mr. Ingram?
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Ms. Haddock as being the senior of the month. And just, being number 2 in the state in one aspect just speaks volumes as to, what our teachers, staff, and administration, what they work with schools and how they prepare. And it's excellent news. Want to remind everyone of the Poquoson Education Foundation 5K run. You can pre-register starting tomorrow, October 19th. till October the 26th. And if you can't do it during that time, you can register the morning of the run, starting at 7 a.m. on October the 29th. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Dr. Goodale?
Yes, also wanted to congratulate Maddie, time last year and being a student month this year. Also want to commend the schools, the administrators, teachers, staff, just for setting that strong foundation from which we serve our military families. That's a very needs-specific population. I just really look forward to, bringing any types of interventions or changes to best serve that community going forward, but we have a strong job right now, so I'm just very proud of that. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Martin?
Congratulations to Maddie, for sure. Proud of her. Would also like to say thank you to the teachers, principals, administrative teams for a great almost first quarter. It's been a whirlwind, and we're running all around, but it's been great, and I think the kids are really enjoying the environments. So I think that speaks to the work that you all are doing, so thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Everett?
I want to thank Mrs. Bunting for opening her middle school and letting all of us tour. It's beautiful. I want to come back at some time. I left, I think, maybe a little too early. I would like to thank Mr. Fye. Mr. Fye, you are the only city council person that has called me, and I truly do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes. I am ecstatic that the cafeteria is open for the PMS students. I know parents are happy about that. Brandon, thank you for doing double duty, sometimes triple duty. I can't thank you enough. And I'm sure I speak for everyone up here. We see you, okay? We do see you. Of course, I want to congratulate Maddie. She's just a wonderful kid. I've known her since she was a baby, and she's just extraordinary. She is. Her parents are also. Let's see. And of course, all of the teachers and the staff, we love you, we thank you, and we want you, if you have a problem, please follow your chain of command, but we're always available. We are always available to you. And I want to make that clear. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Freeman?
I just want to, number 2 in the state on that Digger survey, that's a testament to the teachers and staff that we have here. And we were best, top 2 or 3 all the time. I graduated from the high school in 1990, and we were top 2 or 3 then too. And it's because of our teachers and staff. And just that continued, decades upon decades of excellence is just a testament to our people. So thank you again.
Thank you. And I bet in 1990, they still had the issue with the odd road.
We did.
See, I just have a couple things. Just a reminder for parents in our community that tomorrow's a half day. I forgot, so good on the teachers for students knowing. Maddie's wonderful. She's amazing. Congratulations on being Senior of the Month. And to all of our staff, thank goodness we were spared with Hurricane Ian. Y'all did a phenomenal job of pivoting to virtual quickly, not having to take it to lose a day. I mean, that was hats off to each and every one of you. Also, I know that we say this a lot, we're a small division from the very top to all of our teachers. You all definitely have more than one hat. And we approved tonight pretty much over a page of teachers that do things, on their spare time, and just different supplements for forensics, for drama, for Key Club, you name it, so that our kids are getting the most. So thank you for everything that you do for us. It is definitely much appreciated. And just like Ms. Everett said, we are always here for you. Whatever we can help with, we're here. But other than that, is there any other material for board review tonight?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. And with that, we are going to adjourn to take our fun party into a closed session for some matters tonight. But thank you all for coming this evening.